I am Sean Will Shane. I am the owner of Shared Solar Advisors USA. Before I started working at Shared Solar Advisors USA, or before I founded Shared Solar Advisors, I actually sold vacuums and air cleaners door to door. I made the decision about 10 years ago to drop college. It was a very difficult thing to do at the time, but it basically led to being able to sell community shared solar, which is extremely easy compared to selling vacuums and air cleaners door to door.
I was in the medical field for a long time. I did it for about 12 years, and I felt like I hit my potential. I felt like I did everything I could in the field, and I just wanted to do something different. And I was like, what can I do that doesn't have a cap on my pay? And I was just like, maybe sales.
Sales in general gives people the opportunity to absolutely set their own hours, make an income that actually compensates them correctly for those hours. I'm so passionate about taking people that have literally no background in sales and turning them into a person that's going to be making $1,500 to $3,000 a week, only working 30 to 40 hours a week.
To be able to make $1,000 a week, if not more, just in a short amount of time, like 35 to 40. I've done it in 20.
Before I had to work like 40 hours a week to make maybe $800, but now I work about 20 hours and make $1,600. It's definitely been a good move on my part.
I remember when I first started in sales, toughest part about that was in order to break $1,500 to $2,000 a week, I would have to work 60 to 80 hours a week. When I came into community solar, the first year I did it, I made over 6 figures, and being in the National Guard as well too, I was only able to typically work about 4, sometimes not even 5 days a week. And so I was still able to, less than 40 hours a week, make 6 figures as just a sales rep with a much harder product to sell than we have today.
Before he got into community shared solar, I could tell he wasn't really passionate, enjoying, what he was doing with his work. And, that kind of did rub off on our relationship. He would come home kind of stressed, just wanting to go to bed. He made his office in our bedroom, and he would sit and make calls. And I just remember wondering okay, it's 9 p.m. when are you coming to bed?
I was basically getting into the office at 8 a.m. I was leaving the office at 10 or 11 and getting home at midnight a lot of the times. And it just got way too hard. I wasn't able to spend the amount of time with my children that I wanted to. Being a young father, I had a lot of energy, but it still wore on me. And coming from vacuums to selling something that only took me 30 to 40 hours a week of my life, but making over 6 figures very easily in my first year doing it, I was able to spend more time with my family. I'm able to go on a date once a week with my wife as well too.
We can just take off a Wednesday afternoon and go on a lunch date. Not many people can say they can do that, so it's exciting that he's giving other people that opportunity to do that with their wife or their husband.
What I like about this job most is that I can make my own schedule, that I don't really have anybody breathing over my shoulder, and then I can actually interact with people. You get to have more time with your family, or you get to have more time being who you are if you don't have a family at that time.
I like working with Shared Solar Advisor because it gives me the freedom to not be tied down to a desk. I can, interact with, a variety of people, just like I did when I was in the medical field, and I just like having the time and freedom, over my money, and having time to spend with my family when I want to. So
since he has started community shared solar and has been pretty successful with it, I have been able to be a stay-at-home mom, which has been amazing. He's created that freedom for me, and he's starting to create that freedom for other people.
One thing that I definitely want to say, if you're a sales professional and you have a job working for another company and you're tired of paperwork that you have to fill out, sales reports that you have to go to, pointless meetings that waste your time, having to report to an office on a regular basis, bosses that basically constantly lord over you and you don't even know why they are in their job, you need to come work with us because we don't have none of that. You get to work from your home, within a 20 to 45 minute radius of where you live. We only do meetings 3 times a week, and they're over Zoom. They're anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. You don't have to file out any sales reports. You just basically keep track of where you're going, and you go on your work and you live your life. You work 30 to 45 hours a week for us, depending on what your own income goals are. We don't have quotas. Our only quota is that you're financially successful. What this has done for me is this has allowed me the ability to not only spend more time with my family, but actually believe, because there was a time in my life where I didn't believe I could do this, but actually believe that I can take care of my children's children's children, where I can set them up for them to actually be better and leave a legacy behind that lasts literally over 100 years.